Hello all you Resident Evil fans. Resident Evil Revelations 2 is just around the corner and Capcom is already giving its fans a bone to chew on. And no, I'm not talking about this, I'm actually talking about this. The identity of the villain in the sequel of Resident Evil Revelations. Now, some of you may be saying already, "Oh, who cares about who the villain in the game is when the game has barely come out yet?" In normal circumstances, I would agree with that, but not too long ago, an article in a magazine stated in an interview with Resident Evil producer Mikiteru Okabe that they will be returning a character that core fans will know. You won't recognize this character just by the voice, but this is a known character that's very important to the RE universe, Okabe explained to Game Informers. But you've got to be a core fan to know her. Really hardcore. So this instantly tells us that the villain is someone we've seen in the past Resident Evil titles, which gives us the incentive of the story that is to become. I mean, unless, you know, Capcom is just throwing bullshit, like always. But instantly, this creates a sense of suspense for the hardcore fans of Resident Evil. It drives us to search within our minds of the years we've dedicated to the franchise and what this game has in store for us. And of course, we have our dumb and obscure assumptions like Jessica Shurawat or But I digress. There's always room for assumptions and theories, as I myself have a really dumb and obscure assumption on who this Jigsaw imposter could be, and I would like to share with you all. But before I do any of that, let's look at our list of possible suspects. So as long as the series has been running, it's safe to say that there are a lot of possible suspects to choose from. So we're gonna try and cut this down to size. Obviously, what we know so far is that the villain is a woman, stated by Okabe himself. What we also know is that Resident Evil Revelations 2 has 3 main characters: Claire Redfield, Moira Burton, and Barry Burton, to be played later on. Because it would seem likely that the villain would have to be someone who knows our 3 main characters, or at least has some sort of connection between one of them. So, ordering from least likely to most likely, our suspects are Lucia from Resident Evil Gaiden, Polly and Kathy Burton, Ada Wong from several installments of the series, Veronica Ashford from Code Veronica, Annette Birkin from Resident Evil 2, Alexia Ashford from Code Veronica, and 2 mystery potential candidates that I'm leaving aside as a stupid but interesting assumption. So, without further ado, let's get started. Our first suspect is Lucia from Resident Evil Gaiden, a 13-year-old orphan child adopted 2 years prior to the events of the Starlight Cruiser, where the ship was infested with the T-virus. Lucia, the only surviving passenger in the ship, was saved by Leon S. Kennedy. Later on, she is saved once again by our master of cheesy one-liners, Barry Burton. It's revealed that Lucia had abilities due to the parasite which escaped Umbrella's labs and infected her during her childhood, which is the reason Umbrella sent a tyrant to the cruiser to retrieve it. After removing the parasite and having it attack the captain, Barry and Lucia ran back onto the ship where Lucia was thrown overboard, only to be saved once again by Barry. Man, this girl is dodging death left and right in this game. But it turns out the Lucia he saved was actually the parasite made to look like Lucia. The real Lucia, knowing that the parasite had green blood, cut herself in order to prove to Barry that she was the real Lucia. Upon the defeat of the BOW, with Lucia having lost her powers from the extraction of the parasite, Barry offers to adopt her into the family. But in the game's final shot, Leon's neck is shown bleeding green blood, signifying the parasite is disguising itself as Leon Kennedy. What happened to the real Leon was never revealed. So in what way can we tie Lucia to our mysterious villain in the newest installment? Well, disregarding the possibility of some modern family matters, the only way I could possibly think she can tie in somehow to this story is if the villain was not Lucia, but the parasite. The parasite being able to take any form it needs to. It wouldn't surprise me to see it being used in this story, but it would be interesting to see this parasite twist the minds of Claire, Moira, and Barry by morphing itself into their loved ones and deceiving them. Oh, right in the kokoro! But I would highly disagree with the possibility of this game tying into the franchise, considering how messy this game's story is with its main storyline, which also debunks Polly and Kathy Burton. I just can't see how they could be the villain without some family drama going on. And with the way the story is represented in Revelations like a modern soap opera, if it were true, I wouldn't be surprised. Alexia Ashford, the artificially created granddaughter of Umbrella co-founder Edward Ashford. Her father, Alexander Ashford, in desperation to restore the lost honor of the Ashford family, started genetic studies whose purpose was to find the gene that regulated intelligence. Upon further research, he took the DNA belonging to the ancient matriarch of the Ashford family, Veronica Ashford. After fertilizing a surrogate's egg with the intelligence-raising gene along with the Veronica's DNA, twins were born, Alexia and Alfred Ashford, with Alexia being deemed as Veronica's incarnate. Moving right along to the events of Co-Veronica, Alexia awakened after 15 years in a cryogenic state, only to find her brother Alfred dying by the hands of Claire and Steve. She later captured Steve and Claire for experimentation purposes, but was later killed by Chris, but not before conducting experiments on Steve and ultimately killing him. So how does Alexia tie in with this mysterious villain? Well, not too long ago, before E3, a screenshot was leaked from the official Resident Evil website called Enhanced Veronica, which, seeing as Claire is one of the main characters in this game, it supports the possibility of this game being a part of the Veronica storyline. Okabe said in previous interviews that Resident Evil Revelations 2 was not originally going to be Revelations 2, and that it went through many name changes during development. Well, if the villain was indeed Alexia, the purpose of kidnapping Claire would definitely be plausible. But as we all know, we saw her get blown to mush at the end of the game. But could it be possible that the DNA from Alexia's blood that remained could have somehow structured together with the Queen Ants to reborn Alexia as herself or as Veronica Ashford? That is if there was any surviving Queen Ants after the big explosion at the end of the game. But on a very interesting side note, and a little bit of biased fanboyism of course, I find it very interesting how Claire says this during the beginning of the game.
The key's gone. Are you gonna use that? It's more reliable than in person. If you say so.
If any of you realize, this was quoted by none other than Steve Burnside.
You see?
So could it be possible that Steve would somehow be affiliated with this game? Judging from the end of the trailer, it seems Claire is shocked to see somebody. Let's hope the fans, and by that I mean me, gets the decade-long questions we've been waiting for. Dr. Annette Birkin, a scientist and wife of Umbrella Corporation's chief scientist, William Birkin, and mother of Sherry Birkin. During the outbreak of Raccoon City caused by the virus leak from G-Virus mutated William Birkin, Annette Birkin, having survived the outbreak, met Claire Redfield, thinking she was a spy for Umbrella until Claire had mentioned Sherry. Realizing that William's goal was to implant Sherry with embryos of the G-Virus, in an attempt to stop William, Annette was murdered by her mutated husband. Canonically speaking, of course. But before her death, she explained to Claire on how to save Sherry and to apologize for her negligence. So how can we tie Annette with the mystery villain of Revelations 2? Well, quite honestly, I can't find a way. I've literally seen Annette's name thrown as a suggestion in every post, article, and video I've seen recently, and it just doesn't make any sense for Annette to be the villain. She died in front of our eyes, and she was very well human. What's more, I don't see her as holding a grudge towards Claire, and I very well don't see her as taking her apology back towards Sherry about ignoring her. It just seems highly unlikely. Along with this list, we had Ada Wong, Angela Miller, Rebecca Chambers, and Jill Valentine. But it just seems highly unlikely that they would even do such a thing. There was talks about Jill Valentine losing her senses after the events of RE5 because of the brain-controlling device put onto her during RE5, but I've yet to gain any supporting evidence to back this theory up. Now, on to the two mystery suspects I personally thought up of that I would love to share with you guys. Now, once again, this is merely a suggestion, so no flames please. So, Okabe stated that to figure out who this villain is, you have to be a core Resident Evil fan. A real hardcore Resident Evil fan. So it seems like having these villains from the main games reappear in this game would just be too easy. So I decided to delve deeper into the more obscure and asinine theories, which brought me to two potential suspects. Elza Walker. Now I know this may sound stupid, But Capcom certainly has gone through the much more obscure route after teasing a new character that was only Barry's daughter. Only hardcore fans would know about Resident Evil 1.5 and all its unfinished glory. It would seem likely that they would want to use the character Elsa in some way or form, as a lot of fans have begged and asked for. This way, it brings about a fresh new story and less stress of trying to find ways to get all these deceased characters back to life, and the reasons to kidnap Claire and Burton, that they would tease this villain, but only to be an obscure reference rather than a floor-slamming plot twist like Wesker coming back to life. So, here is my final assumption. Let's make one final recap of what we know. A returning character fans will know, not recognizable by voice, but is a known character important to the RE universe. A female character who might be affiliated with the three main characters in some way, shape, or form. Some only hardcore fans will know. This character is not only affiliated with the three main characters, but also is affiliated with key characters in the Resident Evil universe as well. Oswald E. Spencer, William Birkin, Albert Wesker. The origins of everything. Of all viruses, the very reason why Resident Evil has come this far. This character I've chosen not only confused me at first, but after delving deep into the backstories and its origins, it seems highly likely that this character can not only be the identity of our villain, but of a new villain for the Resident Evil series overall. July 31st, 1978. Two people were assigned to a research facility the same day the Executive Training Center closed down. William Birkin, who at the time was 16, and Albert Wesker, who was 18, were assigned to be chief researchers of this research facility to create a weapon using the Ebola virus. Birkin, who was interested in the Ebola virus, planned on combining it with the original virus that would enhance the human body. This was the T-Virus project. That was when they met her. Nothing was told about the woman. Everything was kept top secret. She was 25 at the time and was a test subject for research on the T-Virus. For 11 years, she was tested on, and with only more to come. With her body adapting to every virus administered within her, to even absorbing the Nemesis prototype, Birkin had found something within this girl. Something more powerful than the T-Virus, the G-Virus. The origins of all viruses, the very start of everything was from this woman who was forced to undergo a plethora of heinous and illegal biological experiments. Her name is Lisa Trevor. After the capture of her mother, Jessica Trevor, and the death of her father, George Trevor, at the hands of Umbrella, Lisa was administered with the Type B variation of the progenitor virus. Her physical and mental state went through dramatic changes. However, she was able to absorb the virus. Seeing the vast potential Lisa had as a test subject, Umbrella attempted to lead her into a false sense of security by disguising other researchers as her mother. She was able to recognize the imposters, and in a fit of rage, she brutally murdered them, ripping off their faces and attaching it to her own, in hopes that one day she can give Jessica her face back. Regardless, research continues as William Birkin and Albert Wesker inject Lisa with the Nemesis parasite prototype, which previous subjects went through, and died instantly. However, Lisa, her body having gone through several viral experiments, ultimately absorbed the Nemesis parasite and adapted its powers into her own, a breakthrough that would serve an important role in the creation of the G-Virus. Upon extraction of the G-Virus, Lisa Trevor was disposed of. Okay, whoa, cool story, bro, but how can Lisa be the new villain when she isn't even human anymore? Well, you're right. How can she be? But what if the villain isn't a human at all, and is just like Wesker, Sergei, or any of the other main bosses that maintain their intelligence and form? You may, however, counter with the fact that Lisa has lost all intelligence because of the countless of experiments done on her. And with the way she acted in Resident Evil 1, it's likely, not to mention the fact that she died at the end of Umbrella Chronicles. The key item to answering these questions is the very thing that is inside her. The G-Virus. The G-Virus, created by William Birkin, is described as a highly advanced strain of the progenitor virus, possessing fierce regenerative abilities capable of essentially granting infectees biological immortality. In theory, the G-Virus brings about endless mutations whenever the host is critically injured, and the mutations differ from host depending on the body's current state prior to injection, which explains Birkin's several different mutations to his last being a blob. However, this is the explanation of the complete G-Virus. The primitive G-Virus, which was given to Wesker and within Lisa, were the ones before its completion. When Wesker used it, he managed to sustain his human form and intelligence, and as we see from Lisa, she managed to sustain some intelligence. However, her development of mental illness was more than likely due to the emotional trauma from being experimented on and other viral injections. But as we see in Umbrella Chronicles, the mansion explodes mere seconds after being knocked unconscious by chandeliers. So, wouldn't she be dead? More than likely, yes, she would be dead. However, because of the amount of experimentation induced on her for the past 30 years, Lisa Trevor has become near immortal and indestructible, to the point where an anti-tank missile had little to no effect on her. So wouldn't it be possible for her near immortal body to be able to survive the mansion's explosion? And would it not be possible that the amount of damage she sustained from it would cause a rapid mutation different from the completed G-Virus, turning her to a more human-like form? And would it also be possible that the findings of her mother's skull provided the closure needed to heal her mind? It isn't just the G-Virus that's within her, it's every virus imaginable. T-Virus to the original prototypes, including the Nemesis parasite. Anything is possible, even retaining human form and obtaining new powers just as Wesker did. But besides those, do we have any other small evidence to prove this theory? Well, yes, but really small and obscure ones. Why do you think Capcom is releasing Resident Evil 1 HD? I doubt they would release it to explain who Barry Burton is. It would seem likely that they would need to explain the origins of Lisa Trevor. Another one will be her quote of poetry in the first gameplay teaser of Revelations 2.
Fear what you will become, and become what you fear.
What? Who the fuck is quoting poetry?
Are you afraid? You can tell me. Talk to me.
What are you talking about?
Those bracelets change color in response to fear.
And who exactly are you?
So much suffering. You don't even know what to be afraid of yet.
Fear what you will become, and become what you fear. Could very well relate to her fear of what she would become from the experiments and the viruses. Her saying of, so much suffering, you don't even know what to be afraid of yet, could very well relate to her suffering from the many years of experimentation. Could the amount of experimentation done on her from Umbrella cause her to exact revenge on the very people and company who've done it? But does this theory seem likely to you? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree? Leave a comment below on your take on this theory and your reasons why you agree or disagree. And as always, thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this video taught you some things about Resident Evil you didn't know about. Have a good one, and enjoy your jail sandwiches.